So, welcome to the course Unit 5 naman. This is the Philippine Drug Abuse Problems or the History. So, ito yung topic natin about nung magkaroon pa ng Spanish colonization, American, Japanese, post-war era until now, the modern times. So, history of drug abuse and addiction in the Philippines. So, alam niyo ba, saan tayo nag-start ng drug abuse? So, very little known about drugs in the Philippines. During the pre-Spanish era, the intoxicants and stimulants used by the early Filipinos were fermented alcoholic beverages. Okay? So, dati talaga, ang alcohol kasi is considered as drug. Ayan. Pag midterms, malalaman natin yan. So, alcohol, di ba? And then, the masticatory preparation known as nganga. Alam niyo yung nganga? Yung parang luyos, di ba? Lalo na, ginagawa dyan sa Mountain Province, di ba? So, in vernacular, narcotics including marijuana were not in the list of vices of the country at that time. Wala pang marijuana noon or wala pang opium, ganyan, wala pa. Ang ginagamit lang nila, alcoholic and yan nga, yung nganga. Na-try nyo ba yan, yung nganga? Yung matatanda, di ba?
Ma'am Luyos siya po ba yan, ma'am?
Yes.
Mama.
Okay, sa
Luyos.
Kasi nganga talaga ang pangalan niya sa Tagalog. Okay, mama.
Dito, mama.
Sa Kapampangan.
Kapampangan.
So, yung matatanda.
Dinidigdig yan sa baul.
English, papa.
Okay. So, the opium poppy plant and the coca bush were absent in the Philippine vegetation prior to 1521. So, wala pa tayong opium poppy plant, wala pa tayong marijuana or so whatever. So, during the Spanish area, drug control laws prohibited the use of the opium by the native Filipinos. Nung nagkaroon ng opium, siyempre, di ba, Spanish era pa din, nagkaroon ng control. So, the drug control laws prohibited the use of opium by the native Filipinos and other people except the Chinese. So, itong mga Spanish na to, medyo may favoritism, no? Pinagbawalan niyo yung mga Pinoy na gumamit ng opium. Pero yung mga Chinese na naninirahan sa Pilipinas, okay lang na magamit ng opium. So, Chinese residents in the Philippines, particularly in Manila, and of the more distant Chinese parias or the Jetos, started smoking opium in 1780. So, as a vice, it was not widespread and was particularly accepted and tolerated by the authorities. So, nakita nyo yung nila sa mga Pinoy? Yung mga Pinoy bawal mag-opium, pero yung mga Chinese na nanirahan sa Pilipinas, lalo na sa Manila, ayan, okay lang sa kanila. So, in 1844, the Spanish colonial government laid down an opium monopoly which entitled the importation by the Spanish government and its sales to Chinese users. So, ang ginawa naman ng Spanish noong 1844, sige, start na ang opium monopoly. Tapos, binebenta nila dun sa mga Chinese users. So, at this period, opium smoking became widespread among Chinese as it was used forbidden to Indians, Mestizos, and the Filipinos. So, Indians, Mestizos, Filipinos, bawal silang mag-opium, pero pwede yung mga Chinese. So, this compromise policy lasted up to 1896, a period of revolt and insurrection. So, dahil nga nagkakaroon ng opium monopoly itong sa Spanish government, di ba? Nagkaroon ng parang revolt or insurrection. Bakit? Kasi bakit Chinese lang yung hinahayaan nila maggamit ng opium? How about those Indians, Mestizos, and Filipinos? Hindi po sila pinapayagan. Okay? Again, ganun sila naging parang may favoritism. Sabi nga natin noong Spanish time. Kaya yun ang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng revolt and insurrection. So, nung dumating na ang Amerika, so, the Americans took over the rule of the country, and after establishing the civil government in 1901, a systematic survey was conducted, and it was found out that there were 190 joints where the Chinese smoked opium. So, it was observed that the habit had not yet gained foothold among Filipinos. So, still, nung dumating ang mga Amerikano, still, ang gumagamit pa rin naman ng opium is yung mga Chinese. Kasi na-addict na sila eh. Diba? Since nung Spanish era, sila na yung gumagamit. So, in 1906, there is a partial legislation that allowed Chinese addicts, tinawag na silang Chinese addicts ha, that allowed Chinese addicts to obtain a license to use opium in their homes for a fee of 5 pesos. So, nung dumating na ang Amerikano, ang ginawa nila, okay? Pinayagan na itong mga Chinese addicts na gumawa ng or gumamit ng opium. Okay po, gumamit ng opium. Ang kapalit, okay, kailangan may license muna sila bago sila makagamit ng opium. Tapos binebenta nila ng to use opium in their homes for a fee of 5 pesos. Yung 5 pesos noong unang panahon, katumbas na yan ng hundreds of thousands, di ba? So, the opium sale was under the government control and the quality was limited. So, dito, nung dumating ang Amerika, kinontrol niya yung pagbenta or naging parang regulated na yung paggamit ng opium. At kung gusto mong gumamit ng opium sa mga Chinese addicts, kailangan may license muna sila. Diba? Tapos, magbabayad pa sila ng 5 pesos na fee para lang makagamit sila ng opium sa bahay nila. So, dati, ganon, ha? So, in 1908 na, doon pa lang nagkaroon ng total ban of opium. So, the total ban of opium was affected. The campaign continued until dumating to mga Hapon, di ba? Until the Japanese occupation in 1946, at which point all supplies of opium were cut off from the country, and during that period, the number of opium addicts was probably the lowest in Asia. So, nung dumating na yung mga Hapon, di ba, after ng American, ang nangyari, talagang total ban na. Ayaw nila sa opium. So, kaya ang nangyari nun sa Asia, parang bumaba yung sale ng ating production ng opium. Also, nabawasan yung mga opium addicts kasi nga, nagkaroon na ng total ban ng opium. So, in 1953, ayan, Republic Act 953 was enacted which provided for the registration and collection and the imposition of fixed and special taxes upon all the person who produce, sino gumawa, who import, kumuha, who manufacture, diba, who compound, deal in, dispense, sell, distribute, or give away opium, marijuana, opium, poppies, or coca leaves as any synthetic drugs, which may be declared as a habit forming. Tingnan nyo, meron na agad special taxes kung sino man ang gumagawa ng mga opium. So, the law also declared as a matter of national policy the prohibition of the cultivation of marijuana and opium poppy. So, nagkaroon na ng prohibition na bawal ng padamihin or bawal ng magpatubo ng marijuana and opium poppy sa Philippines. Okay po. Next. So, sometime in 1955, okay, the marijuana plant was introduced in Pasay City by foreigners for purpose of producing reefers. Okay? Alam niyo ba yung reefers? Ito yon. Yung alam niyo parang malalaking container na truck? Yun ang reefers. So, noong 1955, yung Pasay City, yung mga foreigners doon, parang nagtataka sila, ano ba yung mga laman ng mga truck na yan? Alam niyo, yun ang reefers. Okay? Alam niyo yung parang kino-convert nila na bahay? Yung puro bakal na galing sa truck. So, yun yung reefers. Okay? So, these were sold in taverns in Pasay City and introduced into the elite schools in the same area. The PC or the Philippine Constabulary Criminal Investigation on January 8, 1959 conducted the first marijuana raid. Siyempre, nag-isip sila, ano ba yung tinatambak ng mga foreigners doon sa mga reefers na yon? So, nag-conduct sila ng first marijuana raid nila sa Pasay City when several potted marijuana plants were seized. So, the Philippines has been relatively heroin-free until the early 60s, when small heroin laboratories opened in Manila. In 1963, new trends appear. So, there was a warning of opium addiction among the Chinese, but a concurrent increase among the Filipinos. Just the latter contributed 63% of the total arrests from drug offenses. So, nung 1963 na, di ba, meron na nga tayong batas, which is the RA 953 na nagre-regulate or nag-impose ng taxes kung sino man ang gagawa, magpo-produce, magsisell, mag-distribute ng ating opium. So, then, nung 1963, hanggang sa nagkaroon ng total ban, ayan na, heroin-free na yung ating Philippines. So, recognizing the deleterious effect of drug abuse on the health and well-being of the Filipino youth and the threat that it poses to the national security, then President Ferdinand Marcos signed to the law yung ating kaunaw ng Philippine Drug Law na RA 6425, known as Dangerous Act of 1972. Okay po. Which was later amended ng ating batas na RA 9165, which is Comprehensive Dangerous Drug Act of 2002. Okay po. So, this law was amended by PD rin, dated in November 9, 1972, placed under control not only narcotics by also psychotropic substances. Meron kasi dun parang section ng ating RA 6425 na hindi lang dapat narcotics ang kinokontrol ng bansa natin, but also yung mga psychotropic substances. Kasi alam nyo sa ating, kung babasahin yung RA 9165 or kung tutingnan nyo yan, merong yung mga essential elements. If naaalala nyo yung nagpa-definition ako ng terms, di ba? Isa doon yung mga essential chemicals. So, mga essential chemicals na yon kasama na dapat doon yung narcotics and psychotropic substances. Kasi sa RA 6425, ang pinabawal lang niya or regulate lang niya is yung mga narcotics. So, on November 14, 1972, the Dangerous Drug Board or DDB was organized to provide leadership, direction, and coordination in the effective implementation of RA 6425. So, nagkaroon ng Dangerous Drug Board. So, by early 1974, addiction to opiates and barbiturates had almost disappeared among the native population. So, during the period of 1975 and 1980, the cultivation of marijuana increased and became geographically widespread. Okay po. Bakit? Kasi sa ibang bansa, meron kasing medical effects itong marijuana. Ginagamit nila pang gamot. Thus, the pattern of drug taking involved marijuana. So, abuse of pharmaceutical products, especially cough syrup, yung codeine, diba? And the inhalation of solvents, yung mga tumira ng rugby, tumira ng pentelpen, ganyan, acetone, yan. Diba? Pwede, mga solvents yan. There was very little trafficking of heroin, cocaine, and LSD, and the non-availability of narcotic drugs made the prices soar beyond the reach of Filipino drug abusers. So, anong nangyari dyan? Habang syempre humihigpit yung sa batas, tumataas ang presyo ng mga illegal drugs. So, ayan, nagkaroon tayo ng RA 9165, the Dangerous Drug Act of 2002. So, it is an act instituting the Comprehensive Dangerous Drug Act of 2002, repealing, nire-repeal niya itong RA 6425. So, yun lang. That is course Unit 5. So, that ends our full topic for prelim examination. Okay po?